Hello, my name is Eshaan Akhtar and I am a first year medical student. And in today's video, we're going to go over a topic which I feel we are all guilty of, and that is falling behind on work. Now, it's something which happens to the best of us. We simply become lazy, we start procrastinating, we lose productivity, and things don't go our way. And then we end up falling behind on things which hold a lot of priority to us and also hold a lot of importance. So what I'm going to do in this video is essentially give you some tips on how to catch up on work that you've fallen behind on. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like, subscribe and share, because these tips are going to be really important. So without further ado, let's get into it. Right, tip number one. Sounded quite American there. But tip number one, which is quite important, don't beat yourself up. A lot of people go through this phase where they want to get things done. They feel that they need to get things done, but then they're constantly complaining about the things that they need to get done and feeling guilty over the fact that they've gone behind on the work that they need to have done, and it all becomes a spiral of negativity which they end up falling down and simply can't grab on hold onto something which gives them leverage to get back up again. So this whole spiral network that you end up facing is something which this video will hopefully help you not fall into. And the number one thing is, don't beat yourself up about it. There's no need to get all negative about it, and there's certainly no need to get all angry and guilty over the fact that you've fallen behind on the work that you should have been on top of, because it's a very common occurrence. And especially with all the busy lifestyles that we all have, there may have been a commitment that you needed to make. You see a friend that's come back from holiday, or visit a loved one's birthday party, etc, etc. The list is long, but these aren't excuses. These are simply reasons why you decided that you needed to let something else, i.e. the assignment that you may have due, just wait a bit longer because you had something else which held a bit more importance to you at that particular time. Now, there is nothing wrong with that. It's just simply something called life. So the sooner we realize that, and the sooner we actually understand that, the better it is for us, and the more likely we are to actually do the thing that needs to get done and actually start to make progress of catching up the work that we have fallen behind on. So tip number one, write it down. Don't beat yourself up. Now let's move on to tip number two, which I think also holds a lot of importance, but once again reiterates the key points of prioritization. I hope I said that correctly. It's a long word. Anyway, tip number two. So tip number two is assessing the damage. Assessing the damage is an almost crucial thing that every single person needs to do. The reason for that is because you end up putting so much pressure on yourself to the point where you end up not wanting to carry out the task of catching up on all the work that you're behind on, that you simply end up making more mistakes. And the reason for that is because we don't assess the damage. We don't understand actually how much of the things that we needed to get done haven't we got done. How long is it going to take us for us to actually complete the things that need to get done? Let's actually prioritize the things that need to get done sooner, and those that can wait, let's put them to one side and actually reassess them at a later stage. These kind of questions should be popping up into your mind, and you should be asking yourself these type of questions when making a rational and logical decision about the workload that you have, your task that you're behind on, and even within life in general. When you are faced with an obstacle or a hurdle, do not let the emotional side of you think for you, because what happens then is you don't think with logic, you don't think with reason, and you end up trapping yourself into a globe of negativity, which is only going to take you down a rabbit hole, which you're going to struggle to get out of if you keep digging further. So, the best way and the smart way of avoiding getting yourself into complete disaster is simply assessing the damage, and I think that way you can become a much more efficient and productive person. Now, in tip number three, I think this is another important tip, but I'm going to have to let you wait for the transition. So, editing team, do your magic. Tip number three is make a realistic calendar. This is a very important step after step number two. Why? Because making a realistic calendar lets you see about all the other things that you have coming up, which also hold a lot of importance within your life. Now, the number one most important thing that needs to be on your calendar if you are a high school, sixth form, or university student is your timetable for your lectures, your seminars, or your classes, and even your tutorials. Because the reason for that is because within that time, you're most likely not going to have a chance on working on your workload that you are behind on. So you need to factor in those hours and actually realize that I am not able to do anything, and that is beyond my control. I am required to be within those lessons, so I need to count those hours off my timetable. So by then, what you're already doing is you're actually starting to put your logical mind in action, and you're reasoning with yourself. You're making yourself realize that the situation isn't that bad. So not only are you helping yourself sort of physically because you're calming down and you're feeling less sort of panicked and anxious, but you're helping yourself mentally as well, because that guilty conscience of not having done the work, being falling behind, and etc., and just feeling bad about yourself, you're actually turning that into a positive and feeling a lot better. So not only are we improving your physical health, but also helping supporting your mental health as well with this tip of writing down a realistic calendar. So see how breaking down things into different segments and actually thinking with rational and reason and logic, you already start to realize that you can tackle things, but it's about your approach and outlook and mentality towards those things that help distinguish whether you are able to complete the task at hand. So that is a very important thing. So tip number four and the final tip of today's video is speaking to your friends. Now, friends are a huge important asset. Why? Because they are probably individuals who really understand how to help support you and how best to provide assistance for the situation that you're currently in. When it comes to situations which are very much work related, i.e., your lectures, your seminars, you will find that your friends really benefit with the advice that they provide because they give you a second opinion. And I'm just going to use one example that springs to mind, and that is preparation for a an exam that's upcoming within the next couple of months. And you happen to have got behind on some work and you need some assistance. More often than not, your friend is, of course, probably preparing for the same exam. So in that case, your friend can help support you by providing you with the flashcards that they are using to revise for that specific topic. And what you've done here is not only have you helped sort of strengthen your friendship, but you've also been able to use your logic and reason to ask around you and use your network to help support you. Now, a lot of this comes down to simply just taking a step back and, like I mentioned in tip number two, is assessing your damage. Because once you've assessed your damage, then you know how best to reach out for help as well. Because there's certain things which you might be able to do and you'll have no problems with, but there's certain things in there that just simply require assistance, and there is no harm in asking for assistance if that's something that will help you get over that obstacle. So, with that being said, I think it's a crucial thing to really effectively plan and understand everything that's going on, because only then will you be able to make a informed decision about how best to tackle that situation. I think these type of things we don't really talk about often, and sometimes it's very difficult to find information out there which helps best so give you some tips on how to deal with these situations. Hopefully this video helped with breaking it down and allowing you to understand the different things that you can do to just not only improve your physical health in in this particular situation, but also your mental health as well, which both can get really badly affected if things go out of control. So always think with reason, always try to take a step back from the situation and look at everything holistically. Not only will that help you in the short term, but it'll help you in the long term. So yeah, without further ado, guys, I'm going to leave you on this note. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.